Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Katie, and I wanted to talk today a little bit of a follow up from my no goals, just strategies that I want to thank everyone for putting some love on that video. It was a video a concept I revisited from last year that definitely helped a lot of people, and I'm just thrilled that it's helping others. That one, let's see, I don't even have that page up. This one, I actually did go in and change this from like adventures or ventures to creativity, because part of refilling my creativity bucket is to actually go on adventures sometimes, experiences, viewing art in all of its forms. So I just wanted to say, like, you can change these up. I use erasable pen, so it made it really easy to erase and then change things. I do love also that people have been kind of changing these up. If spinning and stuck do not resonate with you, if something else does, please use it. I think that's amazing. I'm trying to think. It was like a week ago, so my memory's not great. Someone else came up with a great one besides those. It's in the comments on that one. Sorry, I'm not remembering it right this moment, but use it how you want. You can also, I'll just mention this really quick. If you use it, this is just a different size. This is the TN size. If you use it for the week, there are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you could do like Monday through Sunday kind of thing and track your energy. I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there because there was a reason why I made it 7 squares and then being able to put things that way. Anyway, what I wanted to really talk about was kind of this time of year. So making goals in the month of January or before the month. A lot of people are looking at it the last week of December, and that's why I released that video at that point, was that a lot of people are like, I got to make these goals, right? And I just want to say, take the pressure off. This is a very similar video, and I'm just putting up my vision board here because I think it's just kind of a nice thing to look at. But I also think that I really was affected by an email that a planner company put out. I don't subscribe to many planner companies, but I have like the few that I really enjoy. And even then, the ones that I really enjoy, I don't always get emails about. But the one I got was in the category of don't be a quitter. And that's what I kind of wanted to talk about today. I found that a little bit harsh because there are so many reasons why we want to stop having one of our goals, or that we should feel that the progress that we've made, which may be very minimal, wasn't worthy. I mean, I think the creator wasn't trying to shame or anything, but to me, it just kind of stung. And so I think a lot of businesses do kind of capitalize around this time because it's about 3 weeks into the new year. And that's when people do kind of, whether it's gym memberships or anything, like there's charts and graphs out there that show that people kind of give up on some things around this time. I think there's a lot of other things going on right now that also can come in the way, like a lot of political things, a lot of family things, a lot of, like, this time of year can be very hard. And so there could be other reasons, that are other factors that people just can't focus on some of their goals. I do actually also believe that some planner creators actually do say, hey, look, you are still working on your goals. Even if you're not seeing a lot of movement, just don't give up. In tandem with that, the main part of this video is you're not lazy. Whenever I see someone use the word lazy, whenever I see someone label their actions as lazy, I'm like, I want to question why is it labeled that way? Not to be confrontational at all. It's like, why do you think in your mind you are saying, I am too lazy to stay with this goal? I feel like we all have valid reasons for not doing things. And I was very much brought up in a household that was like, get off your butt, you're being lazy. And at the time, I've had PCOS all my life. I'm thinking back to like childhood, and I've had allergies a lot of my life, and both were undiagnosed. So I did not even get diagnosed with either of those until at least my 20s for allergies, just for allergies. And then PCOS was like in my 30s. And that was a bit before and after having my son. Like, it was that long. So and also having ADHD and autism. And I feel like, and please, I would welcome comments down below. I would welcome to hear about your experiences with things. I think there's so many people in the world that are undiagnosed with things. And when we say we can't do something right now, I think there can be a lot of pushback and labeling. And so I always hesitate, and I always try to step back from the word lazy, because, and I won't use it in my house. I just don't feel like labeling that in that way. I don't find it a derogatory term. It's not that. It's not like, I don't identify with it. I just personally, I've always had some kind of reason of why I can't do something. I do feel like I am a parent to a teenage son. So there are times when I'm asking for his help and he's like, oh no, I can't right now. And I just try to dive deeper into what it is that's preventing him from helping. And it could be that he's distracted, he's trying to get something else done, he's playing, and he's fully immersed in something. Or he's struggling with something, but coming from the point of like, hey, the family needs your help right now. The family needs attention, cooking dinner, cleaning up, that kind of stuff. So when someone asks me to do something or invites me to do something, usually I associate the word lazy as someone is asking me to do something. And I think in those moments, it's totally appropriate for people to ask for help, right? I think we all need help from time to time. And it's just really helpful to keep building communities by keep helping each other. So there's a lot of value in like, hey, can you do this for me? And when the other person says, no, I can't, that there doesn't have to be a long explanation for it, or there doesn't have to be any judgment surrounding that. When it comes to goals and things, I think we can take that whole conversation and internalize it so that you can be the person asking yourself and then labeling yourself as lazy, which is hard. It's like when you are saying like, hey, I wanted to take walks in the woods here. Oftentimes, if I'm having some kind of flare up. I mean, now I've been diagnosed with Crohn's. I have other things on top of the stuff that I had as a kid, but it was really hard for me to just take like little walks and hikes in the woods with my family growing up, because I was not on any kind of allergy medicine. My nasal passages would like flare up and burn. I, would try to explain this, but was met with, "Oh, you're fine," and I think a lot was dismissed in my childhood because, well, I won't go into, I don't need this to be a therapy session, but, so there are times when I can be successful doing this kind of thing, and that means I'm putting supports around that. I've taken my allergy medications. I have the appropriate for me, what gear to walk in the woods, nearby woods, or just, on a quick walk during January in Seattle. Like, I'm from the Seattle area. And so there could be a lot of ice out there. There could be a lot of rain going on. Like, everything is circumstantial. And I think that when we have this conversation with ourselves, it's like, "Oh, I haven't done this yet. I must be lazy." Try to think about what voice you may be hearing those words in. I mean, oftentimes I think of a parent, because that's what I heard growing up. And I hear my parents' voice in my head saying, "Oh, come on, just do it. You're being lazy," or maybe it's a work colleague or a boss that you used to have, or just someone in a position of authority. It could be a friend that was judgmental, or a sibling, grandparents, like, it doesn't matter. Try to kind of think about, like, maybe if you're not hearing their voice, maybe where you heard that most often. But what I think is really important is to change that up. So I have, again, I have no goals, but I have strategies here. So, like, I want to work on my creativity. I want to work on my work. I want to work on my relationships. These are things that I want to work on, but I don't have like a specific goal. But then here, when I made my vision board, I'm like, okay, I would love to kind of build this up for financial, but I don't have anything specific. I do have a lot of demand avoidance that I deal with, of like, if something is too strict, if something is too defined, and I see that I start missing those milestones, it's going to hurt. And I'll be like, nope, I'm giving that up. I think also back to a podcast that it is, what podcast is that? So in the podcast, We Can Do Hard Things. I remember it was over a year or so ago. It was probably more during pandemic times, in the 2021, somewhere around in there, that I remember Abby and Glennon going back and forth on, when do you know when to quit something? And are you quitting because it's hard, or are you quitting because it's not for you? And I felt that so deeply. And I think that's, to me, what is resonating about, like, labeling something as lazy, labeling yourself as a quitter. I think society can greatly judge your capabilities, and you can internalize those words from society and call yourself a quitter, and call yourself lazy, and call yourself all these things. But when you step back and look objectively, and that's what I try to practice as much as I can, and I do find myself slipping into more back up, what does this actually look like, more and more the more I practice it. It's hard. I would say for the longest time, I could not look objectively. I would be so wrapped up in my emotions and labeling and name calling either myself or other people, like, why can't you, or you're being lazy about something, or you're quitting this, or you're just not listening. Like, there's so many things that we can like point fingers at, but then if you step back and go, okay, I had a really great idea at the beginning of the year of going for walks in a place that I found beautiful, just through photo inspiration or because I've been there before. I would also love to take my camera and take photos of things. That was such a beautiful idea. What are the reasons that hasn't happened yet? And are those reasons that might keep me from doing it in the future? And what would help me still try to achieve this? And it could just be once this whole year. I mean, the frequency doesn't make it more or less valuable unless it's something that needs to be at a certain cadence. If you're talking about single experiences, like, hey, I want to donate a bunch of stuff, like, you could do that over the course of like doing something every week, or you can do it all at one time and then have this amazing feeling that that's done. I think the biggest thing around goals is that feeling of when it's done, right? But it doesn't mean you have to have a certain quantity, and it doesn't mean that the value of each of these goals means more than the other. It's what it means to you. It's what each one of these things singularly by itself would mean to you. No one else, just you. Something that maybe you have always said, oh, I can't do that. And I do remember the first time I flew overseas was like this giant, I've been wanting to do this all my life. And I came back with this, like, I did that. I've done that. I had that experience. I was in another country doing things that I didn't think that I had dreamed about for years and years. So it was the feeling I had by completing that and saying, oh, if I can do that, I can do this. And those can be totally unrelated things, right? Like, oh, I can travel overseas. Oh, well, maybe I can take this test or take classes to get the certification or something. Like, I can do something else that is hard and time consuming and stretches my comfort zone. You also may have like goals that are health related that really will affect your quality of life. And if you do something at a regular, again, cadence or like timeline, or like once a week, twice a week, every day, that it's really is going to improve your life over time. It can feel really hard to see, like, maybe you're using a tracker and you have like these certain check marks and you want them to be more frequent. Looking at it objectively and going, well, I took it this far. I've tried it. And it's always those kind of, especially those initial runs of things. If they're not a habit yet, if they're not a regular experience for you, those initial times that you do things are going to take longer because it's your first time doing it, or you're like brand new to things again, or your fitness level will increase over time. If that's like a, for instance, those with chronic illness, no, like you can only do so much with what you have. So it's not like this thing will change your whole health outlook. But if it's something that will help you in the long run, eating more fiber or introducing more vegetables or something, the first few times you do it, it's going to be awkward or missteps or learning more, going, oh, I didn't like that veggie, I'm going to try something else. And then you get into a rhythm of it, but give yourself a chance, right? That's not laziness. None of this is laziness. You're learning, you're changing, you're growing. everything you do is compost for the next thing that you do. You're taking ideas and breaking them apart and going, okay, that didn't work. Let's see how I can try again in a better way. And things do start to click, and things do start to line up, and things do become more enjoyable. And that's not you being a quitter. That's not you being lazy at all. But it's that step back because there's a moment of judgment. There's that moment of being labeled lazy because maybe you haven't done it at all. Maybe you've only tried it once. Maybe you only half did it, but each try is so valuable. Everything you try, even if it's 10%, is so valuable because you learn about yourself. Every time. Every time. I do. At least I do. And I think when we try that 10%, we can then, at that point even, say, oh, I wasn't lazy. I was lazy because I didn't try it 50%. Or why am I not even trying it 100%? Like, no one's ever 100%. No, it's very hard to be perfect. And I guess 100% effort, is that perfectionism? I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But you aren't lazy. You aren't a quitter. But there are some things that just aren't meant for you. Like, I can look at this and go, you know what? I don't want to do this. I realized I've become a different person in the first 3 weeks of the year. And I find that can be so true. I very much in the past make these goals in December, and by January I'm like, no, that's not me at all. Like, whether or not it's December looking into January and trying to project a fantasy self, as in, you can make this list of things you want to do. You can try to project them like, I'm picturing it like a projection on the wall. You can say, here's the life you could have. But then you enter January and you get really real with everything, and that's not you. It's just not you. It's like, we can try it on like clothing. We can try it on like a new shirt or a new hoodie or a new sweatshirt or something cozy, and something's just itchy, and something is just scratchy, and something is just too tight, and it's just not for you. And that's the other flip side. Is it hard? So we try to do it more slowly, or try to do it in increments, or try to give ourselves grace, or find a buddy to do it with. There's a lot of tactics you can use to keep going. Or is it not for you because it was a fantasy self that you were thinking of? It's not the right time. Maybe the timing, you're like, wait, I'm taking classes now. I can't do this right now. I just had a kid. When you have a newborn, you just can't at the same time. And if you're new to having a newborn, you had no idea. I understand. There are times in your life when it just doesn't fit. And maybe 6 months from now, maybe that's when you can pick it up. And that's why, like, making a goal can happen any time of year. And I know it's popular at the beginning of the year because it feels fresh, right? It feels like part of that is you're taking the previous year and saying, all of those mistakes I've made, I'm not even going to focus on those anymore. I'm going to put those to the side and start fresh. But what if you looked at this year saying, I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm not setting it aside, and I'm still going to focus on what I want to achieve because it's allowing me to grow. That's the main thing. And I get jazzed up about this because I feel strongly that I've learned a lot over the years of how to be kind to myself and how to look at goals. And I love making goals, and I love checking things off. And that's why I love planners and writing things out and making things beautiful. That's a designer part of me. But there's a lot of limitations I have in life due to my chronic illnesses and being a mom and being a wife and just being a daughter, being like a sister, like there's so much in life that sometimes we have to take turns with our goals. Like, okay, maybe I can only focus 1 week out of the month on something. Maybe I have to focus on those breaks that my child has from school so I can go in and get donation piles, because otherwise it's pure chaos around my home and I cannot wade through piles of donations while we're just trying to get to school. Like, I think you're understanding. I'm hoping you understand what's going on. And this goal is when I put this on here, it's not about making these tacos. Shortly after I put this in here, I did make some really awesome tacos, but I'm talking about how can I energize and bring beauty and nourishment and amazing foods together to help me feel good. And so sometimes you just need to kind of rewrite your goals or reframe them or think a little bit and try to understand them in a way. Am I thinking of a self that just doesn't and won't exist, that fantasy self? Am I looking at a timeline that's unrealistic? Am I involving people who cannot participate? Am I, what are the things that are holding me back? Is my health just not going to allow me to do that? And that's hard. That's really, really hard to hear. Is my mental health going to be worse if I try to achieve this goal? As someone who's autistic, to take down the mask, or to have to wear more of a mask of who you are and pretend that you're somebody, it really, really weighs you down. It really is I'm just trying to think. It's a complicated thing. It's when you're trying to pretend to be a normal person, but on the inside, it just makes you so tired. And you're trying to process so many things about how society typically goes. Okay, this is how two people interact. They talk about the weather. They talk about small things, a small chat. I don't understand it, but I also kind of know how to pretend to. Ask how the other person is, how, think about what they're interested in. It's a lot. But if I have a goal of meeting 10 new people, because in December, that sounds like, oh my gosh, if I met 10 new people by December of next year, I would make some really cool connections. And yes, maybe I will meet 10 new people, but if I'm forcing myself to, that's going to hurt my mental well-being. If I focus more on, hey, I want to connect with somebody who does the same art that I do, or reads the same books, or has the same games, or loves planners, could I just kind of keep reaching out during the whole year? And maybe by next year, I'll have more online friends. Maybe there's a way to meet somebody in person. But it's more of in that type of goal, it's what are the possibilities here? And I'm just starting with an idea here of what would be nice to expand on in this next year, and then see where it leads. Because we can't tell the future. That is the biggest thing. We can't tell the future. We do not know how things will be. But with a little guidance of maybe a word, like this word might serve me for a couple months and then change it up. Like in 3 months, you can grow and it just doesn't fit anymore. All of these are stuck down with the removable sticky stuff. And so I half expect to peel up a couple and put a couple more down because I've changed. And there are also opportunities that will show up this next year that I don't even know about yet. I have no idea what they're going to be. I may meet somebody who's like, hey, do you want to start a podcast together? I don't know. And that's going to be something that pops up on here that maybe I'll swap it out with something. So having flexibility in your goals, having flexibility in your ideas of what you do want to work towards, because yes, you can have the focus of what do I do when things are hard and I still want to make progress in my personal life, in my financial life. This is how I cope, but then I still need some kind of ideas so that when I see an opportunity, I may be able to take advantage of it or not. Like, it just depends how I'm feeling, my wellness. There's certain things that, I'm not going to be able to ever go on like a 3-month, backpacking tour throughout Europe. Like, my body just wouldn't allow me to do that. Plus, I have medicine every 8 weeks that I need to do, right? So there are certain things I just won't be able to do. And sometimes there's some reconciliation and some grieving that I have to do around those things. And it may be one of your goals here is interrupted by a health thing halfway through the year. And none of that is because you are lazy or because you are quitting. That is just circumstance, and that happens. And you are still loved. And you are still a full human being with emotions and love to give and things that you can focus on to connect with others or to still create beauty in your life. So I know this was a little long-winded, but I had to get this out because it's that time of year where I just see a lot of this start bubbling up. I notice it within myself. I notice it with others of like, oh, I didn't get that started. I quit too early, or I'm quitting these things. And you can quit something if it's not for you. Like, again, I don't think quitting is a derogatory word. You can let it go. You can just let it go. Yeah. But see if that kind of helps determine for you what you want to keep in mind, what you want to keep working on, and what you want to do with this one fabulous life that you have. So let me know your comments below. I would love to hear more about you. I know there are specific circumstances for everyone. I try to think about all different abilities, all different circumstances, because there can be so many assumptions of like, just do this. Just do it. Just do it. And I've had people literally say that to me of something I was like, I'm having trouble doing this. And they're like, well, just do it. And it never, ever helped. Distractions helped me do things. Like I just remember a project I was trying to do, and I just had so much no coming up in my body about it. Like this was just for a client, digital work. And I just, for some reason, there was doubt. There was, I guess it was mostly doubt. Maybe it's just doubt that I could actually complete it because I wasn't sure how it was going to get done. When you don't know how, it's scary. And then sometimes magically you figure out how. And if you really look at that how and 10 different ways and you just don't see an inroad, maybe it's not for you. Or maybe it's just going to go up on a shelf until you can figure out the how. I would love to know. Love to know. What do you think of the word lazy? What do you think about the word quitter? What do you think about doubt? What do you think about knowing if something is for you or not? Or how do you persevere when something does get harder? How do you grow outside your comfort zone? I would love to hear your comments below. And thank you for joining me. And I hope to, if you enjoyed this, please like it on the way out. Consider subscribing because I love doing these type of videos. I know it's kind of a talking with my hands video, but I hope having some examples in front of me helps talk about some of these concepts that affect people with chronic illness or multiple chronic illnesses and who are neurodivergent. So it's a hard Venn diagram to be in and very common though as well. Take care everyone, and I will talk to you soon.